What got you into rock and roll? What made you want to write a kick-ass rock and roll?
In the book, I described my entry into it. So I described, it was a record played on the radio when I was 11 years old. And it was so innocuous, like when you hear stories, people go, man, when I heard like Chuck Berry or I heard Little Richard, names that really matter, and I wish I could say when I heard Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf for the first time, but no, it was a stupid fucking pop song called Hey Paula. It was #1 song on the radio. My mother gave me the radio. I was sick in bed. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I turned the radio on. And hey, Paula.
Yeah.
So and it was #1 that week. And I said, I'm listening to the radio, it's AM radio, it's 1963, which means that there's a top 40, but it's really the top 10. And they play the same 10 songs every hour on the hour. So I'm listening for a whole day and in bed. I say to my mom, there's a song called Hey Paula, it's #1. How is that #1? And she's like, I don't fucking know how. I don't know why. And so then they go, on Tuesday, we have the countdown survey. Blah, 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 blah. So I listened to the countdown survey the following Tuesday, and the chart changed, but Hey Paul was #1 again. And I went, wow, okay. So the next week, Hey Paul is #1 again. And the next week, Hey Paul is #1 again. This goes on for 6 weeks. And now I figured that there's only one #1 song. Remember, I'm 10 years old, right? So I've come to this conclusion that the world votes. Like there's a vote. Like you either go to a place and vote, or you make a phone call and you vote. But I was sure that's how you vote. And I asked my mom, and she's looking at me like I got two heads, and like she doesn't really give a shit. And she doesn't understand where. So I surmised that I needed to buy a record. And when the song got knocked off at #1, I got very upset. I started crying. And I want to know who was responsible for it falling out of #1. And my mother took me to a record store in my neighborhood, and I went in, and it's a little record store, mom and pop, musty, dusty, and sold 45s. And I said to the woman behind the counter, do you have Hey Paula? She goes, yes, I do. How much? 49 cents. And I said, if I buy it, will it go back up to #1? Now, at this moment in time, she could have looked at me and said, are you a stupid asshole? It's run by the mafia. Of course, it's had its run. It's not. Wow. But she said, maybe, son, maybe. And that's how I became addicted to rock and roll.
He was intrigued more by chart position than he was necessarily by the music itself.
Well, the song itself triggers an emotional reaction to me.
Yeah.
It's never changed.
Wow.
It has never, ever, when I hear that song, I go back to 1963. And remember, the Beatles came out 8 months later. Mm-hmm. So how old are you guys?
54.
56.
Okay. So I always say the music you hear between the ages of 12 and 20 is the music that defines your life. That no matter what else you listen to, the music that you became addicted to between 12 and 20 pretty much sets the fucking bullseye for your life. Yeah. You can like other stuff, but it will never be like that. Okay. Yeah. So I had the Beatles between 12 and 20. I had the Beatles in real time. Everyone else talks about I had the Beatles when the record came out. You bought the new record. I had the Stones in real time. I had Pink Floyd in real time. I had Zeppelin in real time. I was able to go see these bands for $3 at the Fillmore East. I had an amazingly glorious.
Yes.
I was right at I was 14 when Sgt. Pepper came out. I was right in the bullseye.
Yeah.
So I consider that to be the luxury of my life because I can talk about it with such incredible passion and because it's so meaningful in its history to so many people. Even if they're younger, they want to know what it was really like back then, because that really set the table for everything afterwards. And to have the luxury of being able to say, I saw Zeppelin open for Iron Butterfly completely because I had nothing else to do that evening. So I went and I had a front row seat, because you could do it in those days. Yeah. And the tickets were $3. People find that an impossible thing to think about. The tickets to see Zeppelin and The Who and Crosby, Stills and Nash and Cream, there were $3. And you know what? If you couldn't afford the $3, you saw them for $1 in Central Park. The same groups, the same time, played the Schaefer Festival for $1. Wow. So who couldn't see these bands?
Yeah.
Do you think that at the time this was happening, any of us thought this was special? No.
Right.
This was.
Well, everything you just said about all those bands Jason and I can say about Twisted Sister, because we experienced Twisted Sister in real time, and that was important to us too.
Well, because every generation has to have that. And that's what you remember. So if we fulfill the same dreams that were filled for me, and I know that that has happened for somebody else, if you ask me what the most gratifying feeling really is, it's knowing that we did to other people what those people who before me existed and did for me.
Yes, you
Amen.
did. That's
Thank you
why
for
it's such
that.
an honor to have
That's
you
it.
today.
Yeah, thank you
man.
for that, JJ.
Right, guys.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Good luck with
I'm
it.
so sorry about hanging up on you, man. I really, really am.
No, you didn't hang up on me. You didn't.
I am now, motherfucker.
All right.
Fuck you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.